Hey guys, welcome to the first ever Sports Central radio show, episode 1, and boy am I excited to get this started. A whole second channel. I'm only uploading once a week, but it's going to be really fun, and I hope you guys enjoy this first video. In this video, I'll be talking about the MLB Trade Deadline and the moves made during the deadline, and I will include some winners and losers. So I'm just going to go in order of when the trades happened. This one happened on July 23rd. I'll go all the way up to July 31st. So Scott Kazmir to the Astros, that was the first big trade. He was on the Athletics, of course. Now he's on the Astros. A's really not looking like they're going to do anything this year, but he's still the second guy. He goes from one ace in Sonny Gray to another in Dallas Keuchel. The Astros didn't have a great rotation. They're a team that hits a lot of home runs but strikes out a lot. So they're going to need pitching in some games. Some games they will score 10 to 12 runs or something like that, but they will definitely have a lot of games where they'll score no runs or 1 or 2 runs. So they need the pitching, and having a good arm that can consistently shut down the other team, like Scott Kazmir, is definitely going to help. And I think this was a good trade for the Astros. Really looks like they're going all in this year, so I'm happy to see that. Next, I have the Mets getting Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson. The Mets had no lineup whatsoever. Juan Lagares was like their leading guy in batting average, Curtis Granderson in home run and RBIs. But getting Juan Uribe and Kelly Johnson definitely helped. I think one of them hit a walk-off and the other one hit a home run in the first 2 days of being there. So definitely paid off early. And also they made some other trades that helped them. And also, you're saying, some of you may not know a ton about the Mets. They have the best pitching staff in all of baseball with Syndergaard, DeGrom, Harvey, Bartolo Colon, Steven Matz, and Jonathan Neese, I think, is their 6th or the 5th pitcher. But definitely a great pitching staff, one of the best of all time. And yeah, so just a great pitching staff. And now that they got some hitters, another trade I'll get to later, definitely helps them a ton. Cueto to the Royals. Now this one is a much bigger trade. They did give up 3 prospects, 3 pitchers that could turn out to be something. But for this year, they got a great trade as the Reds are definitely sellers. They're down there in the standings. They're right down there with the Brewers in the NL Central basement, excuse me. But Cueto's an ace. He's a free agent after this year, so they might as well get something for him. The Royals really don't have a ton of pitching. They rely on their offense. And with Alex Gordon out for a few more weeks, they could also use another bat. But having the pitching and having an ace going forward, having an ace in the playoffs, makes all the difference in the world. If you look at the last few teams that won the World Series, they basically all have an ace. John Lester, 2013, stepped up huge. 2014, Madison Bumgarner, World Series MVP. So there's almost always a pitcher that steps up big and gets the job done. That being said, the Royals are almost guaranteed to make the playoffs. From my point of view, they're the best lock in the AL out of all the teams. So getting a pitcher when your offense is this good and you're this good of a team, great move. They didn't have to give up too much this year. We could see how the other guys turn out, but this is definitely a great move for the Royals. Next we have Tulowitzki to the Jays and Jose Reyes to the Rockies. At first, when this trade happened, I didn't get it, but as things progressed, I got it. For now, I'll just talk about this. At the time, we did not know what the Blue Jays were really doing. I was going to say they're probably buyers because Tulowitzki is better than Reyes, but he's not like a ton better than him. He's definitely better, but not by a ton. Jose Reyes is basically all washed up since he left the Mets, and even the Marlins, he wasn't too bad for that was it 1 year or 2 years? I think it was 1 that he was with the Marlins, but he wasn't too bad. But Tulowitzki, he's very injury prone, but he's actually really good when he's not injured, and I don't think he's gotten injured this year. If he has, it hasn't been too bad. He had a home run in his first game with the Rockies, so definitely his first game with the Blue Jays. Definitely a great first game for him with Toronto, but they are the number 1 offense in all of baseball as far as runs scored. So I was like, why are you improving your offense by just a little? That's not really going to help you at all. So I wasn't even sure if they were buyers or sellers at that point. I was guessing buyers, but to be completely honest, I really wasn't sure what they were at that point. So I think the Blue Jays got the better part of this trade, though the Rockies are still rebuilding, and they're not really going for the playoffs this year. But we'll see going forward and later in this video. Zobrist to the Royals. Ben Zobrist, a guy we knew was going to get traded from the Oakland A's, kind of like a Matt Carpenter, very good utility man. So we'll see how this works out. The Royals, I'm not gonna say they needed a bat, because I can basically name all their position players. They're so good. They have Salvador Perez at catcher, Hosmer and Moustakas in the corner infield. Hosmer first, Moustakas third. Alcides Escobar, Omar Infante, and who is it in at shortstop or second? I think it's Escobar, but I'm not positive on that one. Lorenzo Cain in center, and they got Alex Gordon, but he's hurt, so Gerard Dyson's filling in for him. But having Zobrist will give a middle infielder a day off, or even Hosmer or Moustakas. They'll fill in for I'm not sure who they have in right field actually, but they'll fill in for Gordon for a while. Also a good bat if you need a pinch hit. He's a great pinch hitter, and he's got a little bit of speed. So a good trade for the Royals, as they're really going all in this year, as they should be. In my eyes, they're the best team in the AL, and if they play the way they should outplay every team, and they should make the World Series. I'm not gonna say they're the best team in the MLB, but definitely the best team in the AL to this point. Papelbon to the Nationals. This was a very, very interesting one. Phillies definitely Sellers' worst record in the MLB. That being said, the Nationals have a great closer in Drew Storen, top 5 in the NL in saves prior to this trade. So I wasn't really sure what they were doing. I knew Papelbon was getting dealed, but especially in division it was surprising, and especially to a team who already had a closer. This was one of two trades, the other one I'll get to later, involving the Tigers and Pirates. But Papelbon going to the Nationals just did not seem like a smart move when you have Drew Storen. But the other night, they had Drew Storen in the 8th, pitching the 8th, and Papelbon in the 9th. That could be a deadly combination, but still not sure if it's going to work out. That was only one night, and of course they had to give up some pieces to get him. Also heard on a ESPN television show, I think it was Around the Horn, maybe it was PTI, something like that, but they said Papelbon in the shower went to Drew Storen. He's like, he said something to this effect, can you give me some tips on my slider? Are you really going to ask for tips? The guy you just stole his job, and you're asking for tips on his slider while in the shower? It seems a little weird to me, but that's just the type of guy Papelbon is. He won 2 World Series with the Red Sox, or maybe only one. I think he won one in 07. He might have won 2. He actually threw the final pitch in the 07 series to Seth Smith of the Colorado Rockies when the Boston Red Sox won that. But the Phillies are definitely sellers. Also gave away Ben Revere. And now on the Nationals and Mets, that is going to be quite the race in the NL East. In the comment section below, who do you guys think is going to win the NL East? Brandon Moss to the Cards. The Cardinals are a very interesting team. Best team in the MLB by far. Not by 20 games, of course, but like by 5 games. So, you think they have a outstanding offense and pretty good pitching too, right? They have the best pitching in the league. Them and the Pirates are top 2. And then hitting, they're not great. Johnny Peralta leaves them in batting average, home runs, and RBIs. He's a good player, but for him to lead in all 3, that's not a great offense. Brandon Moss is hitting about 220, so he's not going to help an average either. But he's hit about 15 home runs this year, so that'll add some power to the lineup, and that'll definitely help bring in some more runs. So he's definitely a power aspect to the lineup. And maybe a pinch hitter late in the 9th, down 2 runs, bases loaded, maybe he's the guy that hits the home run. Maybe he's the guy that does something to that effect. So he could be a difference maker, and look for this guy till late in the season when they need to win a game, or in the playoffs in a clutch situation. I expect Brandon Moss to have one big play coming up big for the St. Louis Cardinals. On to our next trade. It is Joakim Soria, and he is going to the Pittsburgh Pirates. This might be the most confusing move. I made a video a few days ago on my main channel, Sports Central, why the Detroit Tigers should not sell at the trade deadline. Well, they gave away David Price, they gave away Joakim Soria, and I'm going to get to in a few minutes, they gave away Yoenis Cespedes. So clearly they're selling, and they're rebuilding. But they still have some great players in Miguel Cabrera, not Prince Fielder, I don't know why I almost said Prince Fielder, but JD Martinez, Victor Martinez, JD Martinez, Alex Avila, a bunch of guys. But Soria is a pretty good closer. So you think you want to give him to a good team who doesn't have a closer. Let's look at the NL. Nationals already have a closer. Mets have Familia. Cardinals have Rosenthal. Pirates, who he was traded to, have Mark Melancon, the MLB leader in saves. So that's the last team I'd expect to take Soria. Soria has been known to be an 8th inning guy in the past, but all the save situations he's been in this year, it'll be a little different for him, and just kind of like Drew Storen going to 8th after closing all year. So I don't really get the trade. I don't see how this really helped the Pirates. I guess it strengthened their bullpen a little, but not a great move. Also, the Dodgers already have Kenley Jansen. The Giants already have Casilla. So the NL is pretty much loaded with closers, and they didn't really need. I think they could have gotten more for Soria as well. Not a great trade. Mike Fears headed to Houston, not the New York Mets, after many people thought he was going to be going to the Mets. Gomez, a great hitter, very speedy center fielder, and came up clutch a few times for the Brewers. But people thought he was originally going to the Mets, and the Mets kind of got screwed over here as the deal fell through, and now Houston picks up another hitter and another pitcher as well. So good trade for Houston. The Rangers get Cole Hamels. Maybe the biggest trade. We saw this one coming. Again, Phillies are sellers. Phillies are sellers, and we knew that going in. And there's no surprise here, but going to the Rangers, he still has 3 years left on his contract, so this is big going forward. He's not really going to make a huge difference this year. Only 2 months left in the season. Rangers not a contender for the playoffs. 6.5 games back of the Astros right now. So they don't really need a guy who's going to make a difference right now, because his contract is pretty cheap, actually, quite a discount, and he still has a few years left. The Dodgers get Tabata. I'm just going to say, I knew who Jose Tabata was before the whole incident with Max Scherzer. I didn't really think much of him. Now I have no respect for him. Lost a lot of respect, not that I really had a ton before, but what he did was not right, and good thing he's out of Pittsburgh. I think that's just best for everyone. Ben Revere headed to Toronto. There are 4 guys who have hit .290 over the last 4 seasons. McCutchen, Miguel Cabrera, Buster Posey, and Ben Revere? Who would have thought? But Ben Revere is in the category of those elite names. So he's going to Toronto and just helping their bats even more. Another bat is just what they need. They're going to be an unstoppable offense. Cubs get Dan Herron. Dan Herron not quite as good as he used to be, but another arm for the Cubs. That does not hurt. So definitely a pretty good pickup for the Cubs, and the Marlins definitely sellers. Very disappointing year this year for them, as they have not been as good as people thought they were going to be. Now the big one. Yoenis Cespedes to the New York Mets. The Mets needed hitting. They got Uribe. They got Kelly Johnson. Yeah, they'll get a big hit every once in a while, but those aren't the guys that will get you to the spot where you need a big hit. They're not the game changers you need. Those aren't the type of guys who are going to be the difference in winning and losing exactly. Their WAR isn't as high as Yoenis Cespedes. Yoenis Cespedes is just a game changer. He can hit home runs. His fielding is very good, very, very good, as we saw some throws with the Athletics, the Red Sox, even the Tigers this year from left field. He's just gunning some players out at home plate. So has a cannon for an arm, and I think this was a good trade for the Mets. Didn't have to give up a ton, and they needed another bat, and they got it. After losing Carlos Gomez, who went to the Astros, I think this was a great pickup, and the Tigers definitely sellers. So the Mets really going for it. Could they catch the Nationals? What do you guys think? We've got some great races coming up after this break. My winners of the MLB Trade Deadline and my losers. That'll be right after the break. Welcome back from the commercial break, guys. Now, as I said, my winner and loser of the MLB Trade Deadline. First, let's talk about the winner. There are a few teams I could have gone with. The Royals, I think, did well. The Astros did well. A few other teams also did well. The Mets did well. The AL did very well overall. My winners from the AL. But I would like to say the Astros picked up some pitchers, as I mentioned earlier. The Mets got some hitters as they needed. And the Royals overall gained some better players in Cueto and others, but they did have to give up some prospects, which is why I did not pick them as my overall winner. My overall winner being the Toronto Blue Jays. I picked the Blue Jays solely because they have Tulowitzki for more years, and they got pitching which they needed. Their offense is getting even better than it already was before. It's been great so far this year, but they need some pitching, and they got David Price. Definitely a great pickup there. The Blue Jays are my winner. And August 1st, 2014, Jose Bautista said he was disappointed in the Blue Jays and they didn't make moves. They certainly did this year, Joey Bats, so nothing to be disappointed in. Definitely could make a playoff run. And if you look at they're 6.5 games back of the Yankees, so I'm going to pick the Yankees to win the AL East as of right now. But who's going to get the wild cards? The Astros and Angels aren't that far ahead of them. And right now, the Blue Jays are only 1 game behind the Twins, who are falling apart. Astros are young and they could fall apart. Twins are young. Well, the Blue Jays are tied with the Orioles, but I'm assuming they should be able to go ahead of them. And the Tigers sold, so they definitely could make a run to the playoffs. Now my loser of the MLB Trade Deadline. This is different depending how you interpret this. If you interpret this as a seller, then you're going to say like the Phillies or Reds. But the Phillies got some good prospects for guys like Papelbon and Ben Revere and other guys they traded. But I'm looking at it not from even the New York Yankees perspective. They didn't make a move, but they didn't lose anyone either. So they didn't give up prospects, because they could still be good for a few years after this. So they didn't give up any prospects that they'll need later on, because they are a veteran team. But my loser is the San Diego Padres. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. They have to go like 40-20 probably to make the playoffs. And right now they're under 500, so that's very unlikely. And even if they do go 40-20, that might be a wild card spot with so many great teams like the Mets and Cubs and Giants in the race for the NL wildcard, and the Pirates, but the Pirates are probably going to get the number 1. But they didn't sell Justin Upton, James Shields, Tyson Ross, Craig Kimbrell, all guys people thought they'd trade. They could get prospects and be good in 2 or 3 years. And Matt Kemp. Now they have to eat up more of that salary, though they don't have all of it. The Dodgers still have some of it. It's just, it was not a smart move that on their part. That I thought they're not going to do anything this year, so just give up on this year basically, because like might as well get something, because Justin Upton's going to be a free agent after this year, so get something for him. That's the way I look at it. And I don't get why they didn't sell. Teams that didn't do anything can't really be considered winners, but like the Yankees, they're not losers because they're already good and in position to do what they need to do. But like the Padres, they're not in position at all. Not a smart move, not sure what they did there. Who is your winner and who is your loser? I assume your winner is probably one of the 4 teams I mentioned between the Royals, Mets, Astros, and the Blue Jays. Probably pretty mixed right there. But the loser, it would be interesting to see what you guys think. Probably a lot of you say the Padres, a lot of you will say different teams. Put that in the comment section below who you guys think is the winner and loser of this year's MLB Trade Deadline. So that's going to be it for my first ever Sports Central radio show episode. So thanks for watching this, guys. New upload every weekend. Hopefully this goes up on Saturday. If not, it'll definitely be up on Sunday. But subscribe to my main channel if you haven't already, Sports Central. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. And put in the comment section below what should I do for my next episode. Like what should be the topic. And thanks for watching, guys. I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.